Hey everyone, welcome to the 2025 Business Planning Clinic. I'm Gary Carpenter and I'm excited you're here because today is all about you, your goals, your systems, and the vision you have for your life and your business this year. Most agents drift into a new year without a clear plan and then wonder why they feel stuck by March. But you're not here to drift. You're here because you're ready to take ownership, build a plan that actually works, and create the structure that will help you win consistently, not just occasionally. Today, we're going to walk you through the exact framework I've used personally for years and the same systems I teach inside the Realtor Roadmap program. You're going to clarify your vision, build your 12-week roadmap, choose your lead pillars, map out your perfect week, and walk out with a plan you can start using immediately. So get your workbook ready, get your mind open, and be ready to think bigger, work smarter. You're about to build the most intentional year of your career. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Kind of the agenda for today is crafting your vision and your 12-week roadmap. So most of you that have been with me for a while, I think probably for the last 8 to 9 years, I've run my schedule, I've run my business based off of the book, The 12-Week Year, okay? And we'll get into detail on that, and I've shot videos on that, so I'm not going to get into great detail about that, but we're going to go through a little bit of the concepts that come from the book, and how that is going to help you form a roadmap, if you will, for 2026. And then obviously we're going to talk about production goals. I may bring one of you on here to talk about your production goals. I want to talk about, the lead indicators, and kind of that blueprint of the things that you have in your control versus the things that aren't in your control. And then obviously talking about the perfect week, the scheduling system, how that kind of rolls out. I'm going to get in great detail on that. And then lead generation pillars for predictable growth. What should you be doing on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis in order to hit your lag indicators, like closings and that type of stuff? And then obviously some system structure and consistency. That word's going to come up all throughout this presentation. Marketing strategy. One of the things that I promised a lot of you was, just really kind of what do we do in regards to marketing? The message itself, there's the overall outline of what you do in regards to how you market, whether it's email, whether it's mail, whether it's, an event or whatever. Now, the creativity comes in with you on what message you're actually delivering and what you want to do. Like I like to do pie events, okay? Some people don't necessarily want to do a pie event. But anyhow, so let's talk about a little bit about lag and lead indicators. So I've got a handout here. A lead indicator, the definition of the lead indicator is there are specific actions you take that cause results. They are predictive, they're controllable, and they're activity based. Okay? These are the things that I would call controllables. These are the things that you have to hold yourself accountable to actually doing. And what I would always encourage you to do, just like when you're looking at your schedule for the week and saying, okay, what didn't work last week? What do I need to get done? What are the major things I need to get done? Like I've got stuff personally I have to get done. I got stuff in my business that I have to get done. You're going to put those into your schedule. And then every week you're looking back and you're setting 20 minutes on Sunday to sit here and say, okay, what worked, what didn't work, what got in my way, I had a bad week, whatever, boom, I'm hitting restart, I'm going to the next week. You do the same thing, and it's kind of a re-engineering process of saying, all right, 2025, did I hit my goals? Well, I set my goal for 25 transactions. I only did 12. The answer to the question is no. Now, what do we want to do as real estate agents? We want to go into the big explanation. I call it the big lie. The big explanation on why the goals didn't get done. Now, you could be a single mother with kids, and you're going to have all of these excuses, right? And again, one great book that I always suggest people to go buy. It's by Wayne Dyer. God bless his soul. He's gone now, but it's called Excuses Be Gone. Okay. Because the thing is that it doesn't matter the excuses. It doesn't matter what got in the way. The fact is that you can either live in this victim attitude or you can take full responsibility of your actions and saying, okay, if I had no choice, right, am I going to get these things done? If you said, I'm going to prospect 3 days a week for 90 minutes, I'm going to make warm calls to my database. I'm going to make cold calls. I'm going to go door knocking, whatever it is. It's your responsibility to get it done. We allow things to get in the way. Now, there are major excuses, a major car accident that paralyzed you. Okay, well, you may have had control over that if you were drunk behind the wheel, but you may not have had control of that because somebody, sideswiped you. You guys kind of get my point, okay? You're not on a call with me right now to tell you what you want to hear. I'm telling you what you need to hear, okay? Because at the end of the day, as real estate agents, as independent contractors, we can now hit the reset button going into 2026. But we also want to look and say, all right, what was my biggest challenges in 2025 that I feel, and then you got to take that through kind of a process of, did I have control over this or I didn't have control over this? Is something that happens consistently or is it something that doesn't happen consistently? So here, let's go through the lead indicators, okay? So examples of lead indicators in real estate: number of conversations, follow-up calls made, handwritten notes sent, videos posted, open houses held, golden letters mailed, appointments set, new contacts added to your CRM, daily prospecting hours, door knocks completed. Those are things that will help you with your lead indicators. Okay. You don't have control over your lead indicators. Okay. A lead indicator, so lag and lead, you have your lead indicators. They tell you what will happen in the future, and they're about 100% within your control, right? So lag indicators are not. So a lag indicator, the definition of this is indicators are the results that follow your lead indicators. They measure outcomes, not activities. They are not controllable, okay? They are the consequence of the work. So if you do 90 minutes of lead gen, that theoretically, that's going to lead you to a listing appointment. That's going to lead you to a buyer appointment, where a buyer appointment will lead you to a contract written. A contract written will lead you to an accepted contract. An accepted contract will lead you to a closing. Now, there's a lot of things in between there that can blow the deal up. You only have control over what you have control over. And the idea is that the lead indicators are things that you're doing. Here comes the word. What am I going to say? It begins with a C. Consistently over time, regardless of what's going on in your life. Okay? You've got to make sure these get done. How do I become, at the end of the day, when I turn 80 years old, my lag indicator is I want to be an amazing grandfather. My lead indicators are like today, I drove 60 minutes for my 5-year-old grandson who is at church and his first time bringing up gifts. If you don't know anything about that, that's a Catholic thing. And we bring up gifts. And he was so excited that Papa and Lulu were there. Those are little things done consistently over time that are going to create that amazing relationship that I'm hoping for in the end. So that's the same thing with weight loss. It's the same thing with your business. Okay. So you have to have an awareness of lag and lead indicators. So examples of lag indicators in real estate are closings, listings taken, buyers under contract, GCI earned, numbers of referrals received, market share, total volume, social media analytics, followers, likes, all that. So those are important numbers. And we want to track those because those are the results of the actions that we take or the lead indicators. So, why lag indicators matter? They tell you what already happened. They're great for tracking progress, but they cannot be directly controlled. Okay? So we look at the end of the year and we say, I set the goal for 25 transactions and I only did three. Oh, the market's terrible. That's the problem. It's the market that's terrible. Oh, those buyers, they were terrible. Or the seller was terrible. At the end of the day, no, everything leans back on you. Okay? So, in summary, lead indicators equal inputs, predictable, controllable actions. Lag indicators equal outputs, results that show up after the work. The major thing about the 12-week year, the concept of it, is that when we set goals, we typically set goals over 12 years. So I want to do 24 transactions, let's say, in the next 12 months. The idea of the 12-month year concept is that we break those into 12-week year goals. So if we want to do 24, we divide that by 4. 4 into 24 is 6. So every quarter the goal is 6 closed transactions. That's the lag indicator. I want to do 6 closed transactions in the next 12 weeks. So then what happens and what do I need to do each week in order to make sure that I get that? Well, if I'm going to do 12 closings, I got to meet with 12 clients, or potentially I got to meet, let's say, 24 clients. That means 2 clients a week. So what are the actions I have to take in order to increase my odds to meet with 12 clients to close 12? That's the idea here. Okay. We're breaking this down into weekly goals, even though we've set our annual goal, right? All right. So analogy, going to the gym, lead indicators, reps, sets, workouts per week, count calories burned, right? Controllables. Those are things you have control over. Lag indicator that you actually lost weight, gaining muscle, lowering blood pressure. You don't have control over that. But in reality, you do have control over the lag indicators of your daily actions that you do. People want to say, I'm overweight. It's like, oh my gosh, it's the food at the store. It's not, right? Stay away from the middle aisle, stay on the outside. You're probably pretty good. All right. If your lag indicator goal is 24 closings, your lead indicators might be 50 conversations a week, 5 notes a day, 1 open house a week, 100 golden letters sent each week. Track those weekly, the closings will naturally flow. Now, this is where you're gauging each week. That's what that 20 minutes is on Sunday. Did you get the things done that are going to lead you to your end result of what you want? So, words of wisdom, okay? Just kind of feel these a little bit. Lead indicators drive the business, lag indicators report the business. You can't control closings, but you can control conversations. If you hit the leads, the lags take care of themselves. Your calendar is filled with leads, your scoreboard is filled with lags. Lead indicators tell the future, lag indicators confirm it. So now let's go into the first bullet point, right? So crafting your vision and your 12-week roadmap. So crafting your vision is the foundation of your entire business plan. That's what we're doing right now, okay? It begins with defining what you want in your family, your personal, and your business, and some would even say your spiritual life, okay, to look like, and clarifying the why that fuels your goals. Once your vision is clear, you convert it into measurable objectives. This shorter planning cycle gives you focus, urgency, and specific roadmap by breaking annual goals into 12-week targets and actionable weekly behaviors can execute with confidence. Okay? I will tell you right now, every year that my first quarter is nailed, I typically know I'm going to have a good year that year. If you're trying to make a successful year in the fourth quarter, it's hard. Okay. It's like trying to, if you want to lose 30 pounds in the next, year and you only lose five the first 11 months and you got 1 month left to go and you got to lose 25, that's going to be a challenge. Okay. You're probably going to have to reset that goal. So, okay, knowing that definition, okay, I wanted to kind of jump into this here, okay? Here's a question you want to ask yourself. What is the number one thing? There was a great book that was written by Gary Keller called was it called The One Thing? What is the one thing I want for my family in the next 12 months? Now there's tons of things, but what is the one thing? Now I would look at that and I would say, what's the one thing I want with Matt? What's the one thing I want with Jeff? What's the one thing that I want with Sophie? Those are my kids. What's the one thing that I want for Beckham? What's the one thing? And usually I can group all grandkids into one thing, but what's the one thing I want with my grandkids? What's the one thing that I want for my wife, Linda? So you got to go through, again, this is called deep work, right? Which is one of the things that we avoid is the deep work. But I'll tell you, if you really understand what your why is and the things that you want to accomplish, it helps you on those days that you struggle. Not every day are you going to struggle, right? So these are the things that kind of play with your mind a little bit. You guys have all been around long enough to know, and we've all said this before, man, I wish I would have. And you fill in the blank, okay? So the one question is, what is the number one thing I want for my family in the next 12 months? And then examples would be more time at home, debt-free Christmas, vacations together, stress-free Sundays. I mean, whatever it is for you. Everybody is a little bit different, okay? So now we look at personal. Again, same thing, asking the question, what's the number one thing I want for myself? So for myself this year, I wanted to be healthy. Ever since I started having grandkids 5 years ago, that has been a common theme for me personally is to be healthy. Here, heart, mind, and soul. So what do I do for that, right? So that's my morning routine, that's my workout, that's what I'm eating, all of that. So that's typically when you look at personal, it's like, well, what do you do? What gives you peace? I know for my wife, it's going and getting a massage, it's getting a facial, little shots in her head for Botox, and all these beautiful things, right? Those are the things which, again, when you look at all this stuff, does money solve it? Not necessarily, but the thing is that I will tell you, I have had the same problems without money, and I've had the same problems with money. The beauty of it is, with money, you can throw money at things that can help solve problems, okay? More so when you don't have the money, okay? So personal examples, health goals, financial freedom, faith growth, and balance. All right, so now business, right? This is why we're here. Business, okay? What's the number one business outcome that would change everything, okay? I would say, for me, it's hitting my goal, my financial goal, right? Because that then helps me take care of a lot of other goals that I want to accomplish in my family and also personally. Okay. So what is that outcome? So some examples could be 24 closings. Some of you, 24 closings, you'd almost jab yourself in the eye if you did 24. So maybe it's 50 closings. I don't know. 150,000 in GCI, 4 listings per month, 50% referral business. Again, it just all depends on where you're at in your business and what you're trying to do. Okay. So now that's family, personal, and business. Some would say you could put a spiritual circle here and say, okay, what's your number one thing that you want to do to grow spiritually? And then you gotta, kind of fill in that. So So with this, it's, production goals and lead indicator blueprint, right? So setting production goals means understanding the exact outcomes you want to achieve in the next year. And then reverse engineer the activities required to get there. Instead of guessing or hoping the numbers work out, you determine how many conversations, appointments, and clients you need each week to hit your goals. This blueprint replaces uncertainty with clarity, giving you a predictable path to success by focusing on the controllable actions, lead indicators, okay, that drive the results. Do you know what your lead indicators? I can ask you right now. Let's do it. Let's go into I want you guys to give me one example of something that you could have done better in 2025 that would have helped you hit your production goal. Just one thing. Throw it in the comments over there. So now when we look at this, it's just a basic formula. So Diana, how much money, when you look at your lifestyle and what you want to do and you want to travel, and how long have you been in real estate?
20.
Okay, so 20 years. So you have a good idea of what we're talking about here. What would you
Hmm.
say annually you would like to make?
Well, realistically, 200.
Okay, so $200,000. All right. So now here's the thing when we look at this. I want to make $200,000. Now, but now we have to look and say, okay, what's your average commission?
Like 15,000.
All right, so 15,000. So if we looked at 200,000, okay, and I'm just going to do some basic math here. I'm taking 200,000. That's 13.3 transactions. All right. So if you need to close let's just say 14, let's make it easy, 14 transactions that you need to do for the year. How many transactions did you close in 2025?
13, but did not make that. So
That was your goal, was 13.
it wasn't my goal. It's what I closed.
Okay, so what was your goal?
20.
20. All right. So you're not far off. I mean, there's not a lot, if I'm coaching you, there's not a lot that you need to do in your business to go from 13 to 20. Because here's the thing, you have a history. If you look at the 20 years, I'm just going to look at the last 5 years and say, in the last 5 years, how many transactions have you averaged a year for the last 5 years?
Between probably 12 and 18.
12 and 18.
But the price point has been different. You know what I
Right.
mean? My price point is higher now. So I'm making more money than I did maybe 5 years ago, but maybe not doing as many transactions.
Okay. So on average, you're looking at about 15 transactions. And if you looked at the 13 transactions that you did, how many of those directly came out of your database?
9.
So 9 transactions. So four of them, where did they come from?
3 were referral, and
So that came from your database.
well, it was referral from other agents.
Okay, so from other agents. All right.
Yeah. And then one was like a neighbor of a house that I sold.
Okay. So now then I would ask you, because again, being the good coach that I am, I would say out of the 13 transactions, how many of those transactions could you have maybe just tweaked by asking the magic question and created a better awareness for that client that you may have gotten another deal from each one of those transactions?
Probably all of them.
Right. So
7, 9.
So I don't,
9.
again, I don't want to make light of what I just said. I really want you guys to focus on this. If you're doing transactions and you want to double the transactions you did, you need to start asking that question. That question needs to be asked at the buyer appointment and it needs to be asked at the listing appointment. You need to make sure you're asking that question. And again, I wouldn't be asking Diane with where she's at, what her goal is, how many transactions she averages for the last 5 years. I'm not asking her to do anything insurmountable. Like if I had a brand new real estate agent, they're door knocking, they're cold calling, they're going through a lot of rejection, they're doing a lot of things. Where Diane's business is at right now, There's only small tweaks that she needs to make. She's going to do 13 to 15 transactions every year if she just does what she does every year. But if she makes a few tweaks, she could take that to 20, she could take that to 25.
Mhm.
Okay. And I'm saying that because there's a lot of people that are on this call right now. There's a lot of people that are going to listen to this video that could do the same thing. Okay. And that's by asking that magic question. All right. So now 200,000. And if we say, all right, so now number of closings needed, that will be 13. So you need 13 closings. Diane, the 13 deals that you did, if we looked at quarter one, January, February, March, how many deals did you do in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December? So then you would go back and
Mhm.
you'd look and you break this out into four quadrants and say, all right, where was my weakest quarter? Because I will tell you, typically, once momentum starts, which for most real estate agents, it's usually springtime. And if you just got more active in the fall
Mhm.
before the winter, and then you were active in the winter, I'm going to tell you your first quarter starts to, if you had a great first, like let's say your first quarter you closed 5 transactions, okay? You're ahead for the year, but those 5 transactions will turn into another five, and then those five will turn into another five, and those five will turn into another five. And on average, every transaction, once you get it, takes about 90 days to close. So when you look at this, it starts to compound itself. Okay. And that's just from the business that you're doing, not the actual 3 hours of prospecting or 5 hours of prospecting a week. Okay. So now when we look at this and we say, okay, closings per quarter, you're looking at 3.5. Now, closings per month, now you're looking at 1.2, let's say. Closings per week, we're at half. We're not even registering right now, okay? So, my point in telling you this is that when we take your goal and reduce it to the ridiculous, okay, and we say, all right, if you just did the basic things that I talk about in real estate. And just so you guys know, when I talk about the basic things of, and I'm getting ahead of myself in this presentation, but it's 5 hours of prospecting. It's two face-to-face appointments on coffee appointments. It's 15 complete communications, which means 15 thank you notes. Okay. If you did these things every single week that you worked, and Diane, if we're being honest here, did you do this every week?
No. And I want to
Okay.
make, can I just say one thing?
Yes.
When we said the annual income goal, I was talking about net. So, you know what I mean? So obviously I would need to make more than that to net.
Okay. So we always talk about GCI,
Right. So
closed
so
income.
I guess it's like 250. You know what
Okay.
I mean?
Yeah.
Because yeah.
Okay. So basically you're looking at
So
probably
I would need to do
17
more
deals.
deals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that I always tell people. I always say if you're going to be in this full time, again, if you've never done it before, 24 should probably be your goal as a new person, if you're being realistic. Well, just so you know, I'm not realistic and I've got big ass goals. I'm 57 years old. I want shit to happen and I want it to happen now. Okay. So my goal has always been 100. Okay. So now when we look at this and said, okay, well, let's say your goal's 40. Let's say your annual income goal is 40, or your transaction goal is 40. And I'm just going to use Diane's numbers. That would be $600,000. That would probably change your life. Okay. Would change a lot of people's lives. Okay. So now if you look at that, let's just reverse engineer that and say, all right, what does that mean per quarter? Right. So well, the easy math is 10 transactions per quarter. Okay. So then in reality, if we divide that by three, okay, that's like 3.3 transactions per month. So then if you looked at this and said, what is that per week? Well, that's almost one per week. Could you find time in your schedule to go on one listing appointment per week? Could you work with one buyer per week? Most of us would say, yeah, because the thing is that that's 40 weeks. You take 12 off because there's 52 weeks in a year. At least that's 52 weeks in a year in Omaha. I'm reducing it to the ridiculous. So what you're trying to do, and we all know Murphy steps in, right? Murphy's Law. We all know her, okay? She's got to get hers. And so I always say is that if you're going to, why not just make it a rule of thumb? And again, this is a momentum thing that your goal is to go on 2 appointments a week. Why the coffee appointments? The coffee appointments realistically are geared towards your influencers within your database. So you're going to go meet with somebody of influence. What does a person of influence eventually do, right? Because you've all heard me say this. Everybody in your database is going to run into somebody that's going to go through some kind of life event. Somebody getting married, somebody having a baby, somebody passing away, somebody needing assisted living, whatever it is, and they're going to need to buy and sell real estate. And you need to be top of mind. Well, what's the best way to be top of mind with somebody is to meet with them face to face. So if you consistently do 5 hours of lead gen a week, go on 2 appointments a week, send 15 thank you notes, have 15 complete communications with people. Now, these are people that have an established database. So you got to come up with that annual goal. What is that? And you got to make it to where it's going to stretch you a little bit. Okay? So now let's talk about the perfect week. So the perfect week is a structured schedule designed to create balance, protect your priorities, and ensure consistent growth. Protect your priorities, personal, family, morning routine, date night, time with the kids, and ensure consistent growth. So by organizing your week around focused time blocks, prospecting, follow up, marketing, appointments, administrative tasks, and personal and family time, you eliminate chaos and build a rhythm you can sustain. I shot an amazing video with Ben Schmale here in Omaha, Nebraska with Better Homes and Gardens. He this year is going to close 100 and I think it was 17 transactions as a solo agent with a part-time assistant. He left Omaha, Nebraska, I think he said 36 times over the year. So I'm telling you guys, it's possible. It's a matter of focus. Now, he does get up at 4 a.m. in the morning and he goes to bed at 11. So he gets a lot more done than probably the average person. Okay. But how can somebody like him do all of that production where somebody else can barely close five? It has a lot to do with focus and doing the right things. Now, 85% of that business came from his database. Okay. And his database, I think, is like 512 people. So rather than recreating your business, you proactively design your weeks so your business supports your life, not the other way around. Let me say that again. Design your weeks so your business supports your life, not the other way around. Now, what does that mean? What that means is Ben Schmale, great example. He gets up at 4 a.m. He's involved in 3 or 4 runners clubs. He loves to run, but a lot of his business comes from his lifestyle. He likes to run. So what do the people that he runs with know? He's in real estate. He runs with a few influential people. It only takes 1 or 2 influential people that can really blow your business out of the water, okay? And so your lifestyle, because this is a personal business, whether it's going to church, being involved in your kids' activities, coaching, whatever it is, volunteering, whatever it is, You are a volunteer, you are a runner. I love cars, I love whatever, and you sell real estate. And typically most people that are involved in that lifestyle that you like also know people who are going to run into people thinking about buying or selling. So that's the idea of design your weeks so your business supports your life. All right. So now when we look at this, and we say 12-week year plan builder, right? So I'm just looking at January, February, and March. Choose only 2 or 3 goals for your first 12-week cycle, okay? So when you look at this, examples 12 listings, 24 buyer appointments, add 50 new contacts to your database, finish and complete a 52-week sphere of influence marketing plan, launch your geo farm with 1,000 homes. Then ask yourself, so those, what, 2 or 3 of those goals, pick 3 of them. I'm going to launch my farm. I want to do 12 listings and I want to add 50 new contacts to my database. That's my 3 goals, 3 big lag indicators. Then you look and say, okay, what 3 weekly actions guarantee these goals? Okay. They could be, examples could be talk to 100 people, 25 handwritten notes, 2 open houses, 1 golden letter batch, 1 video a week. So these are the things that you're doing consistently, right? I said, when we talk about videos, I set my plan for videos on my YouTube page was to do 1 video a week. You know what I'm up to right now? 4 videos a week. Okay? I'm up to 4 videos a week. Now that compounds itself over time, right? Now I have different categories of video. I shoot interviews. I do my faith and focus. And then I do real estate, right? Skills, all that type of stuff. So anyhow, you guys get my point here. It will compound itself over time. Then these become your lead indicators, right? The examples, the 100 people, 25 handouts, those are your, I'm drawing the line in the sand. No matter what, because I'm committed to taking 12 listings, add 50 people to my database, and launching my geo farm, I am going to talk to 100 people. I'm going to send out from those 100 people I talk to, I'm going to send out 25 handwritten notes. I'm going to schedule 2 open houses. I'm going to find 2 open houses, even though I don't have the listings. I'm going to find agents where I can do 2 open houses. Now, again, this takes planning. You can't just fall into your week on Wednesday and then expect all of this to happen. Now, I will tell you guys and gals, when you start down this plan, you're going to start to notice all kinds of problems that pop up in your life. Okay? And those then result into you meet a crossroads. Victim attitude, do what I say I'm going to do, sometimes more, just never less. Get the shit done. Now, these are big things. What I've got up here and on this screen right now, 12 listings, 100 people, talk to 100 people a week. A lot of you don't need to do that. But if your goal is to close 40 transactions and you're doing none, this is what you're going to need to do. At least something close to this plan. All right, so then you're going to make, and I know a lot of you don't do this, but you're going to have a weekly scorecard, and it's very simple. So if your goal was to have 100 conversations, then on Sunday, you're going to write down how many you actually did. If you said you're going to send out 25 notes, how many did you actually do? Videos, how many did you actually do? Open houses, how many did you actually do? Golden letters, how many did you actually do? Appointments, how many you actually do? This is where the rubber hits the road. This is where you start to get this icky feeling in your stomach. This is where you stop doing this after week 4 because you've already let yourself down. See, you know what? We all set New Year's resolutions, right? This is always the time of the year. What are you thinking? I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to start going to the gym. Gym memberships or go through the roof in the month of December and January. And the regular people there are frustrated because they got all these new people coming in, not knowing how to use the equipment, just wandering around the gym, not knowing what to do. And then literally by January 15th, or maybe a little bit later, maybe Super Bowl time, all those people are gone, right? Why? Because we have a tendency to always letting ourselves down. And remember that success is made not in the things that people see, it's typically in the things that we don't get accolades for. Like Ben Schmale, as the example, 112 transactions. Well, how many appointments do you think he went on to close 112? At least 112. Okay. Now divide that by four. Now he's consistent every quarter. So let's go perfect week and time blocking. All right. So let's talk about this. Whenever you're making a schedule, so an example, let me kind of go through this. Whenever you're trying to really be focused on things, you're going to want to do something, you're going to want to have a schedule something similar to this. Okay. And those of you that have gone through an 8-week program with me, where you've had to give me your schedule and we've had to, write out our schedules and we've had to color code and, all of that type of stuff. This is really good when you're trying to develop habits. Okay. Now, I don't care if you use an online tool or if you use an offline tool or whatever. You've got to find something that you're going to use to try to, again, you got to have a schedule. Okay. And so when you're looking at, scheduling things, the perfect week and time blocking is you have your non-negotiables, right? The things that are going to go in here: family dinners, date night, church, kids events, workouts, morning routine. Yeah, what are your non-negotiables from your personal life and your family life? Okay. And then you have your income producing time, daily prospecting, daily follow up, content creation or notes sent. When are you going to do this? Gang, if it's not in your schedule, Diane, what do I say? If it's not in your schedule, it doesn't what?
Get done.
And it doesn't exist, right?
Exist.
If can you finish this one, Diane? If you must erase, you must.
Replace.
Yes. See, I make them simple so they're simple rhymes, okay? So now these are things that you maybe don't necessarily have control over. So you have a buyer that you're working with and they want to go look at homes. Well, you got to have time in there. I mean, if you were going to the dentist and you had a dentist appointment and the buyer said, "You know what? I want to go look at a house at 1:30 in the afternoon, but you're going to be sitting in the dentist chair." You're gonna kind of move that thing around. So you got to have some flexibility in that. And when I talk about the perfect week, I talk about your time blocks for when you're actually going to do appointments. So whether it's a listing appointment or a buyer appointment, you kind of weave those things in. And I'll tell you right now, we are in a market where you do not have to go look at a house in the next 20 minutes because it's going to be gone. That's just not the way it's working right now in our market. You got plenty of time to go look at homes. And even if something was going to go into a multiple offer situation, you can call the real estate agent, let them know you have a buyer interested, you're going to go look at it. And usually they set a time in the future on when they're going to present all offers because it works to the seller's best interest to get everybody in to look at the house. So, and then you got appointments, you got writing offers. Again, you just never know when these things are going to happen, but you're not going to write an offer when it's dinner time. You're not going to write an offer when you schedule date night. Now, if you do, there's only a couple times that can happen to where you're going to start to throw off some red flags, and that's when the big things start to happen. And then obviously marketing time, 1 hour weekly sphere of influence system, 1 hour, and this is database management, 1 hour weekly social and video. You're going to shoot videos, you're going to post them, you're going to do that. That's got to be a system. You can't just post a video. You got to write the content, you got to shoot the content, you got to edit the content, and then you got to post the content. You got to create you got to create the post of how you're going to post it. There's a lot that goes into it. But once you create that system, then it's just a matter of doing maybe content creation or whatever. And then you got obviously your lead gen pillar work. All right, weekly planning checklist. So every Sunday night, I've alluded to this a couple times, for 20 minutes, you're going to review last week's scorecard. You're going to schedule your lead gen blocks. You're going to confirm appointments. You're going to prepare social content. You're going to make your top 20 follow up list. You're going to prepare mindset, what worked, what didn't work, reset. Okay. I will tell you, if you get in the habit of doing this one activity, well, here's what I will guarantee you, it's not going to make for a worse week. If anything, it's going to make for a better week. Okay. You set yourself up for success. Okay. And you just have to be comfortable with it being uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable with it not working out. See, a lot of us are what we call perfectionists. Even some of us are that way and we don't even know it, okay? But done is better than perfect. Write that down. It's not in the presentation. Done is better than perfect. I had to adopt that mentality in regards to video making. Done is better than perfect because it'll never be perfect in your eyes, in my eyes. It just won't be, but it's done, right? All right, so let's jump into your lead pillars, right? I believe that a successful business that's going to close 40 to 100 transactions, okay, and probably even less, you need to have a cold program and you need to have a warm program. Now, what I teach has nothing to do with buyers. What I teach is for my lead gen is all about sellers. Okay, has nothing to do with buyers. I was on a phone call yesterday with a potential new coaching client, and we really got into conversation about buyers and all the buyer leads that she's been working, and really you run into when you work that business, it's a very frustrating business because most people that you get through lead gen websites and that type of stuff are credit challenged people. So we talked about the concept of just if you're going to do lead gen, that you go after sellers, right? Obviously, you look at your sphere of influence. That's number one, right? You look at whether there's 10 people in there or there's 600 people in there. Your sphere of influence is the first thing that you're looking at. And the one thing that you're going to want from your sphere of influence, the goal is to get referrals. Now, if they do business with you, that's great, but that's not the goal. Your goal is to go deep enough into relationship with you that they want to refer you, that they remember you, that you're top of mind with them, and they naturally will do business with you if they'll refer you. So you don't have to worry about that. Geographical farm. I believe every agent that's going to do, at least 24 transactions a year needs to have a geographical farm. Now, that geographical farm can be actually in the geography. You live in the neighborhood and there's 1,000 homes or 2,000 homes around you, or that geographical farm could be a lead list of people who are, we call downsizers or most likely to move, leads because they've gone through some data points and you've created that list and you're marketing to that specific list. Again, both have value. The downsizer list, you're going to get faster results from than an actual geographical farm. Okay. But that's a cold outreach. Your warm outreach is your sphere. Cold outreach is your geo farm. Now, doing a geo farm, doing your sphere of influence, just the act of getting referrals and getting listings, then the next activity that you're going to want in there consistently is holding an open house. And more specifically, you guys all know my open houses. They're called Sip and Seas. Okay. And there's a reason why. Sip and Seas, just go to my YouTube page, search my videos, and go watch it. And you guys all know that are part of the program already. There's videos and there's ways to put that together. And then there's video and social. again, you need to be shooting video in your business. It's just a better way to connect with your database. Social media, you need to be, not only doing your business on social media, but also you need to be living your life on social media. And again, if you need examples of that, go to my social page, you'll see. Golden letters. Okay, this is the way that you're going to be your cold outreach to that geo farm that are downsizers. Obviously, then there's your traditional low-hanging fruit is FSBOs and expireds. Again, the thing with FSBOs and expireds, which you're going to start to see those come in vogue again because of the longer market times that are happening right now. FSBOs and expireds, again, in the Realtor Roadmap, I have dialogues and how you go after those leads. Okay. There's ways to also buy those leads, but at the same time, it takes a certain level of patience and fortitude and to be able to work those leads and skill level too. And then database nurturing, obviously mail, call, see, email, social media, door knocking. Again, if you're doing a geo farm, and even if you're doing your sphere of influence, Brian Buffini calls them pop buys. Those are great ways to be able to go and connect with your most influential clients. Not a big fan of them, but they are effective. Event-based marketing, obviously the sip and sees, but also just your quarterly events to try to get face-to-face with your people. So these are all lead generation pillars. Okay. And so when you're looking at this, so lead gen pillars work, the weekly actions you must take for each pillar. Okay. So when you look at your sphere of influence, okay, weekly work, 20 to 50 conversations, 5 handwritten notes, 1 social post about real estate, 1 personalized sphere of influence touch point, video, text, call, birthday, anniversary follow-ups, 5 new contacts to your database, update CRM notes. Okay. Monthly work, monthly newsletter, monthly marketing update video, 1 client appreciation touch. Okay. Geo farming pillar work, weekly work, 100 to 200 golden letters, door knocking, 20 to 30 homes, review farm market stats, engage with neighborhood Facebook groups, send 1 targeted mailer, postcards, handwritten notes, monthly work, 1 just listed or just sold mailer. Now, it doesn't have to be your listing. You establish a farm, Haddonfield, and you see a listing go up. Again, just listed, just sold. They have been like, I don't know. I've been in the business almost 3 decades, and that has always been in vogue. Just listed, just solds, and they're huge. And obviously, there's good, better, and best on marketing to a geo farm. Face to face is the best way. Mailing something is a good way. So host 1 neighborhood event or sip and see. Open house pillar work. Choose your open house early in the week. Prepare 20 signs with directional areas. Run a 45-minute circle dial. Deliver 20 door hangers. Prep sign in form of script. Follow up. Now, I want to tell you, all these are examples, okay? You can create your own. But my point in telling you this is if you pick a pillar, you got to pick a system because it doesn't just happen. You got to organize this. And in order for it to get done, you've got to set the system and you got to think of it days and weeks in advance on when you're going to do it. Our goal is to do 1 sip and see a week. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's none, but for the most part, it's usually 1 a week. Okay. And anybody here who's from Omaha and gets our emails as a real estate agent, you can attest to that. Okay. It's just part of our system. All right. So video, social, film 3 videos, post 3 to 5 times per week. You guys get the point here. Okay. Referral pillar network. In summary, lead gen pillar work equals your weekly action plan for each of your 3 main business drives. So you pick 3, and that's where your weekly activities is going to come from. You do those things consistently every single week. You're then going to hit your quarterly goals. You hit your quarterly goals, you're going to hit your semi-quarterly goals. You hit your semi-quarterly goals, you're going to hit your annual goals. Okay. This all starts with your daily actions and being intentional and being on purpose with what you're doing in your business. Okay. All right. So, annual marketing plan. So, let's look at the handout. So, I put this together for you. I don't know if it will help, but this is kind of an example of what we do. And so I used to put it on my, remember I showed you guys this? That's called my big ass calendar. So I used to put it in there. I used to put it on the wall and we'd have it in there. And then we'd backtrack if we're going to do an event, when we're going to send the first email, send the first this, do that, have the actual event. Then when we're going to follow up, send thank you cards to the people that attended, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now we've done it for so long, we actually do it on Google and Google Calendar, so that way my assistant and I can communicate through that process. But when you look at this, an annual real estate marketing plan worksheet, use the worksheet to design full 12-month marketing systems that keep you top of mind with your database clients, future clients, family, friends, and your entire sphere. This plan helps you stay consistent across mail, email, events, calls, text, social media, and milestone touches. So a milestone touch would be a birthday. A milestone touch is a home anniversary. Um, so when you look at this and you said, okay, monthly mailers, you're going to do one of these per month, but what are you going to mail? Right? You should send something of value once a month to your database. There are people on this call right now that have been with me for years and still they don't do this consistently. And it's mainly because of expense. I'm telling you, spend the money. It pays you. You only need one deal for the whole 12 months of sending 300 to 400 mailers out a month. Okay. So, and then I'm giving you examples of what to do. And then you're going to put in, and I'm telling you right now, over the holidays is the best time to do this. Some people think that a newsletter is of value. Some people think a postcard's of value. Some people think, sending out little trinkets. One would be a magnet calendar, another one would be a pen, another one would be a koozie. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's that you're sending something. I've done the newsletter thing. I've done the magazine thing. I've done the postcard thing. I don't see any greater value in any of those other than how much they cost. Okay. I can spend $1.80 for a magazine. I can spend $1 for a newsletter, or I can spend 42 cents for a oversized postcard. Okay. So because we're so strong in all the other areas I'm going to show you, we've gone with the mailer of the postcard with our faces. That is your best branding piece, is your face and your phone number, okay? And some type of call to action. You always want a call to action when you're mailing something. Weekly email, okay? Now think of this as themes. One week it could be a contest every single month. That takes care of 12 months, 12 weeks. 1 month, 1 week, it's maybe a video of something of value in real estate. That takes care of 2 weeks. Then you can send out, and let's say Diana and Dasha, I can see you guys. Do you have 12 businesses that you could think of that would help your database? A plumber, an electrician. Do you know somebody in those fields? A lender. Imagine if you shot a video and created a post using Chat GPT. You also did this on social media, but it was also an email that you sent out that was a video of you standing there with one of your preferred partners. Do you think that would bring value? There's number 3 of the year, right? And then you just come up with another one. It could be a motivational, ooey gooey, make them feel good, chicken soup for the soul, whatever it is. Gang, the only way it'll get done is if you pre-plan it. You have to pre-plan these things, okay? Now, quarterly client events, right? We do 4 of them a year. Pie, ice cream social, summer barbecue, movie night. coffee and donuts at the office, Santa photos, pumpkin patch, sip and see. Whatever it is, there's things that you can do, and think of these things on a quarterly basis on what you're going to do. We do some in our farm, we do some with our sphere of influence. Calls, texts, milestones, right? Birthdays, home purchase anniversaries. You guys get the point here. So what I did is I created this worksheet for you so that you can go in and you can figure out what you want to do, but you want to plan this in advance. You want to plan this. Right now is the time to do this. You have the rest of November and you have December. But Gary, it's the holidays. Gary, I have kids home from school. Gary, I don't care. Figure it out. Be Ben Schmel. Go to bed late. Wake up early. Whatever it is, get this thing figured out. Now, Seinfeld strategy. I'm not going to go into detail about this, but you click on this right here in this presentation. There is a link that will take you to a video. And I'll post it in the private Facebook group, but you can go on my YouTube page and you can watch this one. Again, it's a good one. So here's the mindset of a producer, right? So mindset of a producer: control the controllables, respond instead of react, focus on progress, not perfection. Remember what I said earlier, done is better than perfect. And then in 2026, I commit to becoming the agent who shows up consistently, puts my marketing plan together, tracks weekly numbers, has a perfect week, puts family first, executes the plan, stays accountable, leads with value, build a referral-based business. Write 3 sentences. Put them somewhere where you can see them, Diana. And then that way, you're more apt to have again, we get in our business and all of a sudden we're in it and the race is going and we're like, oh God, I'm off track. I'll just do this again next year. And then we find ourselves doing the same old BS that we did and keep telling ourselves those things, right? So here's the next steps. Start tomorrow. Don't wait till Monday. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Start tomorrow. Follow your perfect week. Execute your 12-week plan once you put it together. Commit to be on the weekly coaching calls. Now, the weekly coaching calls, if you are going to start to put your plan together, which I strongly suggest you do, the weekly coaching calls would be great areas, Liz, Dasha, Joe, Diana, Lynn, to come to those calls with your questions on what you should do, how you should do something, whatever the case may be, okay? Again, done is better than perfect. So here's some closing thoughts. And I always like to talk about accountability, right? So accountability means taking full ownership of your actions, commitments, and results on a weekly basis. It's not about blame, pressure, or punishment. It's about recognizing that your choices directly shape your outcomes. Accountability requires you to track your execution, measure your lead indicators, and honestly evaluate whether you did what you said you were going to do. Live by that core value. Do what I say I'm going to do, sometimes more, just never less. Gang, the one person you should not let down is who? You. Okay? It's the easiest thing to do. This is the reason why being your own boss is challenging. When you embrace accountability, you operate with intention, follow through consistently, and stay aligned with goals you've set. In short, accountability is ownership in action. This is how you run your business like a business. Hey everyone, great work today. You just completed the kind of planning most agents never take the time to do. You now have clarity, direction, and a 12-week roadmap you can start using immediately. Remember, your plan only works if you do. Consistency is the key. Follow your perfect week, track your lead indicators, and stay committed to the habits we talked about today. To help you keep the momentum going, I've added all of today's worksheets, templates, and tools down in the description below. Make sure you download those. They're going to help you put everything we covered into action starting this week. And if you want deeper support, accountability, and coaching as you implement your plan, I'd love to walk alongside you. You can also use the link below to schedule a one-on-one call and learn more about the Realtor Roadmap program. Thank you for investing in yourself today. Your next breakthrough starts with the steps you take after this video, and I'm here to help you make this the best year yet. I'll see you in the next video.